The alarm bells rang loud through the ship. Jake Miller opened his eyes and sat up fast on his small bed. He had been sleeping after 3 days of hard fighting on the planet below. His team had just finished helping some colonists fight off raiders. Now something new was happening. "All hands to stations," came the voice over the speakers. "Priority message incoming." Jake pulled on his uniform and walked quickly down the metal hallway. Other soldiers were doing the same thing. Everyone looked tired but ready. The ship New Horizon was big, but it felt small when everyone was moving at once. In the main communications room, Captain Rogers stood looking at a large screen. The screen was black, but Jake could hear strange sounds coming from it. It sounded like music mixed with crying. "What's going on, sir?" Jake asked. "We got a message 30 minutes ago," Captain Rogers said. "It's from someone we've never met before, and they're asking for help." The screen lit up. Jake had seen many alien species in his 5 years as a Marine, but this was something new. The being on the screen looked like she was made of living crystal. Light moved through her body in waves of blue and silver. But something was wrong. The light was dim and flickering. "Please," the crystal being said. Her voice was like singing, but sad. "I am Queen Zarath of the Veltari people. I need your help. My daughter is gone." Jake stepped closer to the screen. He had a younger sister back on Earth. The pain in the Queen's voice was something he knew well. "The Sectar took her," Queen Zarath continued. "They took my little Kiran during a peace meeting. She's only 12 years old. The Sectar are evil. They hurt people for fun. They will kill her slowly to make me suffer." Captain Rogers frowned. "Ma'am, we're just a colony ship. We're not equipped for military rescue operations in enemy space." "I have asked my own people for help," the Queen said. "I have asked the Galaxy Council. They all say it is too dangerous. The Sectar space is too well protected, but I have heard stories about humans. Stories that say you never leave anyone behind. Stories that say you do impossible things when someone needs help." Jake felt something stir in his chest. He looked around the room. His teammates were there too. Lisa Kane stood near the translation computer, her fingers flying over the controls. She was trying to make the Queen's words clearer. Ben Clark leaned against the wall with his arms crossed, but Jake could see he was thinking hard. Amy Davis was checking her medical equipment, even though no one had asked her to. "Your Majesty," Captain Rogers said carefully, "we understand your pain. But this could start a war. The Sectar are not our enemies right now. If we attack them, then let there be war!" Queen Zarath's voice became louder, and her crystal body flashed bright for a moment. "My daughter is worth any price. But I am not asking you to start a war. I am asking you to save one small girl." The screen went quiet for a moment. Then the Queen spoke again, softer now. "I know what you are thinking. Why should humans die for one alien child? I cannot answer that. I can only tell you that if you help me, the Veltari people will never forget. We will be your friends forever." Jake stepped forward. "Ma'am, can you tell us more about where they took her?" Captain Rogers looked at Jake with surprise. "Sergeant Miller, stand down. This is not our decision to make." But Queen Zarath was already answering. "The Sectar have many prisons, but my spies tell me she is on General Vextor's personal station. It is in the Kethmore asteroid field. It is a place of great evil." Lisa Kane looked up from her computer. "Sir, I've been studying the Veltari culture files. This is bigger than just one kidnapping. If the princess dies, it could cause a civil war in their space. That would destabilize the whole sector. And if we get involved, it could destabilize our space too, Captain Rogers said. Amy Davis spoke up quietly. Sir, I've been reading about sectar biology. They don't just kill prisoners quickly, they feed on fear and pain. That little girl could suffer for months. Jake felt anger building inside him. He had seen too much cruelty in his years as a soldier. But this was different. This was a child. With respect, sir, Jake said, we took an oath to protect the innocent. It didn't say anything about only protecting human innocence. Sergeant Miller, you're out of line, Captain Rogers said. But he didn't sound angry. He sounded tired. Ben Clark pushed off from the wall. Jake's right, sir. We've all heard the stories about what the sectar do. If that was my kid... It's not your kid, Captain Rogers said. And it's not a human kid. Does that matter? Amy Davis asked. Pain is pain. Fear is fear. It doesn't matter what species you are. Queen Zarath was watching them talk. Jake could see hope growing in her crystal eyes. Please, she said again. I am not asking you to sacrifice your people for nothing. I will give you anything. Technology, ships, information. The Veltari are an old species. We know many secrets. Captain Rogers shook his head. Ma'am, I'm sorry. But I cannot authorize a military operation in sectar space. It would be suicide for my people and could start a war that would kill millions. The light in Queen Zarath's body dimmed even more. I understand. Thank you for listening to me. The screen went black. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then Jake spoke. Sir, request permission to take leave. Leave? Now? Yes, sir. Me and my team. We've been fighting for 3 months straight. We deserve some time off. Captain Rogers stared at Jake. He was not a stupid man. He knew what Jake was really asking. Sergeant Miller, if you do what I think you're planning to do, you'll be court-martialed. If you're caught, I won't be able to help you. Understood, sir. And if you start a war, the blood will be on your hands. Also understood, sir. Ben Clark stepped forward. Count me in. Me too, said Lisa Kane. And me, said Amy Davis. Captain Rogers looked at each of them. You're all crazy. You know that, right? 4 people against an entire enemy fleet? We've done worse odds, Jake said. Captain Rogers was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded slowly. Your leave is approved, effective immediately. I suggest you take the shuttle bay near Cargo Hold 3. I hear it's been having security problems lately. Jake smiled. Thank you, sir. As they left the communications room, Jake heard Captain Rogers talking to someone on his communicator. Get me a secure line to Queen Zarath. Tell her that some humans might be coming to help her after all. Unofficially, of course. Jake and his team walked toward the shuttle bay. They all knew this might be their last mission, but they also knew they couldn't live with themselves if they didn't try. Somewhere in sectar space, a little girl was waiting for someone to save her. They were going to make sure she didn't wait much longer. The small ship moved quietly through space. Jake Miller sat in the pilot's seat, watching the stars change from white to red as they entered sectar territory. Behind him, his team was getting ready for the most dangerous mission of their lives. How much further? Amy Davis asked. She was checking her medical supplies for the 10th time. 2 hours, Jake said. Lisa, how's the translation program coming? Lisa Kane looked up from her computer. I think I have it working. The sectar. Language is ugly, but I can speak it well enough to fool them. I hope. And our cover story? Ben Clark asked. He was cleaning his rifle, even though it was already perfect. We're human mercenaries, Jake said. We're selling weapon technology to whoever pays the most. Humans have a reputation for being good fighters, so they should believe it. What if they don't? Amy asked. Then we fight our way out, Ben said simply. Jake looked at the star charts on his screen. Sectar space was a dark place. The stars here were old and dying. Most of the planets were dead rocks or gas giants. The sectar liked it that way. They built their stations inside asteroids and dead moons. It made them harder to find and attack. There, Lisa said, pointing at the screen. That's the Kethmore asteroid field. Jake could see it now. Thousands of rocks floating in space, some as big as cities. Somewhere in there was General Vextor's station, and somewhere in that station was Princess Kieran. Jake, Amy said quietly, what if we're too late? What if she's already dead? Jake thought about that. He had been thinking about it for 2 days. Then we make sure Vextor pays for it. That's not much of a plan, Ben said. It's all we have. Their ship's communicator crackled to life. A harsh voice spoke in the sectar language. Lisa quickly answered. Jake couldn't understand the words, but he could hear the anger in both voices. What are they saying? He asked. They want to know who we are and why we're here, Lisa said while still talking to the sectar. I'm telling them we have human weapons to sell. I'm trying to sound greedy. The conversation went on for several minutes. Finally, Lisa switched off the communicator. They're sending an escort, she said. 2 ships will take us to the station. They want to see our weapons first. Do we have any weapons to show them? Amy asked. Jake smiled and opened a metal box. Inside were 3 human plasma grenades and a small rifle. These should be enough to get us inside. The escort ships appeared a few minutes later. They were ugly things that looked more like living creatures than machines. Their hulls were black and wet-looking. Jake could see teeth-like projections along their sides. Those ships are disgusting, Amy said. Everything sectar is disgusting, Ben replied. That's the point. They want everyone to be afraid of them. The escort ships led them deeper into the asteroid field. Jake flew carefully, trying not to hit any of the floating rocks. Some of the asteroids had been hollowed out and turned into small stations. He could see lights and weapon systems built into the rock. There, Lisa said. That's the main station. It was huge. What had once been a small moon was now a fortress. The surface was covered with weapon towers and docking bays. Ships moved in and out like angry insects. How many sectar do you think are on that thing? Amy asked. Too many, Ben said. They docked at a small bay near the bottom of the station. Jake could feel the artificial gravity take hold as they landed. The air that came into their ship smelled bad, like rotting meat. Remember, Jake said as they got ready to leave the ship, we're greedy humans who only care about money. We don't care about their prisoners or their politics. What if someone recognizes us? Amy asked. Then we shoot our way out, Ben said again. They walked down the ramp from their ship. The docking bay was dark and dirty. Strange machines moved cargo around. The sectar workers looked up at them with hungry eyes. Jake had never seen a sectar up close before. They were tall and thin with gray skin that looked wet. Their faces were long and narrow with too many teeth. Their eyes were black and cold. One of them walked toward the humans. It was wearing what looked like a uniform, but it was made of some kind of dark leather. You are the human weapon sellers? It asked in broken English. Lisa stepped forward. Yes, we have good weapons. Human military grade. You want to see? The Sectaur's eyes lit up. Yes, our general is very interested in human weapons. Follow me. They walked through the station's corridors. The walls were made of metal and rock, but they had been carved with strange symbols. Jake tried not to look at them too closely. Some of them seemed to move when he wasn't looking directly at them. "This place gives me the creeps," Amy whispered. "Stay focused," Jake whispered back. They passed many rooms with open doors. Jake could see Sectaur soldiers sleeping in piles like animals. In other rooms, he saw weapons being made and ships being repaired. But he didn't see any prisoners. "Where do they keep the prisoners?" he asked Lisa quietly. "Lower levels, probably," she whispered back. "Away from the important areas." The Sectaur guard led them to a large room near the center of the station. Inside, more Sectaur were waiting. One of them was bigger than the others and wore more decorations on his uniform. "I am Commander Zekth," the big one said. "Show me these human weapons." Lisa opened their weapon case. The Sectaur gathered around, making excited noises. They had never seen human plasma technology before. "How do they work?" Zekth asked. Jake picked up one of the grenades. "Simple. You pull this pin, throw it, and everything in a 30-foot circle dies." "Interesting. And the rifle?" Ben lifted the small weapon. "Plasma beam. Can cut through most armor. Very accurate." The Sectaur were clearly impressed. Jake could see the greed in their eyes. "How many do you have?" Zekth asked. "This is just a sample," Lisa said. "We have a ship full of weapons hidden nearby. But we need to see your money first." "Money?" Zekth laughed. It was a horrible sound. "Why would we pay you when we can just take what we want?" Jake had been expecting this. "Because we didn't come alone. Our friends know where we are. If we don't report back in 12 hours, they'll assume you killed us. Then they'll send our location to the human fleet." Zeketh stopped laughing. Everyone knew humans were crazy enough to attack anyone who hurt their people. "I see. Well then, let us negotiate properly. But first, you must meet our general. He makes all important decisions." "General Vextor?" Lisa asked, trying to sound casual. "Yes, he is very interested in meeting the famous human warriors." They were led deeper into the station. Jake used his military training to memorize the route. Turn left at the weapons storage, right past the power generators, down 3 levels on the main elevator. "The princess has to be down here somewhere," he thought. Finally, they reached a large metal door. 2 guards stood beside it, holding weapons that looked like they had been grown instead of built. "Wait here," Zeketh said. "I will tell the general you have arrived." While they waited, Jake looked around. This part of the station was newer and better built. The walls were clean and the lights were bright. This was where the important Sectaur lived. "Jake," Amy whispered, "my medical scanner is picking up something strange." "What kind of strange?" "Energy readings. Like someone is being drained of life force. It's coming from below us." Jake felt his heart speed up. How far below? Maybe 5 levels down. That had to be where they were keeping the princess. But they were still too far away to help her. First, they had to meet with General Vextor and find a way to get closer to the lower levels. The door opened and Zeketh came back out. "The general will see you now," he said. "But remember, he does not like to be kept waiting." They walked through the door into a room that was bigger than some buildings. The ceiling was high above them, lost in shadows. Strange trophies hung on the walls, weapons and armor from a dozen different species. At the far end of the room, on a throne made of black metal, sat General Vextor. He was the biggest sectar Jake had ever seen. His skin was darker than the others, almost black. Scars covered his arms and face. His eyes glowed red in the dim light. "So," Vextor said in perfect English, "these are the famous human warriors I have heard so much about." Jake stepped forward. "General, we're here to do business." "Are you?" Vextor smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Or are you here for something else?" Jake felt sweat on his back. Did the general know who they really were? "I don't understand, sir," Jake said. "Oh, I think you do," Vextor said. He stood up from his throne. "You see, we captured a very special prisoner recently, a little crystal princess, and she has been asking for someone to rescue her. Specifically, she has been asking for humans to rescue her." Jake's blood turned to ice. Somehow Princess Kieran knew they were coming. Jake's hand moved slowly toward his weapon, but Ben grabbed his arm. 20 sectar soldiers were pointing guns at them. Moving too fast would get them all killed. "Relax, humans," General Vextor said with his terrible smile. "I'm not going to kill you. Yet. You see, I want to know how a little crystal girl knew you were coming. Did her mother send you?" "We don't know what you're talking about," Jake said. "We're just weapon dealers." Vextor laughed. "Of course you are. And I'm just a simple soldier." He walked closer to them, his red eyes glowing. "Do you know what makes the sectar so powerful? We feed on fear and pain. The more our enemies suffer, the stronger we become." Jake felt sick. He had heard stories about this, but he had hoped they weren't true. "That little princess has been feeding us for days," Vextor continued. "Her fear is so pure, so strong. It's making my whole army stronger. And the best part is she'll live for months before she dies. Months of beautiful suffering." Amy Davis stepped forward, anger making her brave. "You're sick. She's just a child." "Yes," Vextor said happily. "Children taste the best." Ben Clark couldn't stay quiet anymore. "You bastard! When we get out of here..." "When you get out?" Vextor laughed again. "You're not leaving. You're going to join my collection. I've always wanted to see how humans taste." Jake knew they were in trouble, but he also knew something Vextor didn't. Humans were very good at getting out of impossible situations. "Lisa," he said quietly. Lisa Kane understood. She had been working on something while Vextor was talking. Now she pressed a button on her communicator. Suddenly, alarms started ringing throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red. Over the speakers, a voice was shouting in the sectar language. "What is that?" Vextor demanded. Lisa smiled. "I just told your entire station that the humans have developed a new weapon. A weapon that feeds on sectar life force the same way your weapons feed on others." Vextor's eyes went wide. "That's impossible." "Is it?" Jake asked. "How do you think we learned to make weapons that feed on life force? We studied yours first, then we made them better." It was a complete lie. But Vextor didn't know that. Fear was starting to show in his red eyes. Lisa pressed another button. "I just told them that our ship is scanning the station right now, looking for sectar to drain. Your soldiers are going to panic." She was right. They could hear shouting and running footsteps in the corridors outside. Half of Vextor's guards ran out of the room to see what was happening. "You're lying," Vextor said, but he didn't sound sure anymore. "Maybe," Jake said. "Are you willing to bet your life on it?" While Vextor was thinking, Amy Davis quietly opened her medical bag. Inside was a special serum she had made during their trip. It would make them appear dead to sectar sensors for about an hour. She had 3 doses. Ben, she whispered. Jake, Lisa, get ready. Amy quickly injected herself with the serum, then she fell to the floor like she was dead. The remaining Sectar guards jumped back in fear. What happened to her? Vextor demanded. The scanning beam, Jake said, trying to sound worried. It must have found us. It's starting to drain our life force, too. He grabbed the serum from Amy's bag and injected Ben and Lisa. They both fell down like they were dying. Stop it! Vextor shouted. Turn off your weapon! Jake injected himself and felt the serum working. It made him feel cold and weak. Too late, he said, and fell down beside his friends. For several minutes they lay on the floor pretending to be dead. Jake could hear Vextor walking around them, talking to his soldiers. Scan them, the general ordered. Are they really dead? One of the soldiers ran a scanner over Jake's body. The serum worked perfectly. To Sectar sensors, he had no life force at all. They're dead, sir, the soldier reported. Good. Take their bodies to the disposal unit and find out what happened to their ship. 4 Sectar soldiers picked up the humans and carried them out of the throne room. Jake kept his eyes closed and tried to breathe as little as possible. The serum was supposed to last an hour, but he didn't know exactly how long it had been already. The soldiers carried them through several corridors and down 2 levels. Jake memorized every turn. Finally, they dumped the humans in a large room full of garbage and broken equipment. Let the disposal system take care of them later, one soldier said. We have more important things to worry about. After the soldiers left, Jake waited 5 more minutes. Then he opened his eyes. Everyone okay? He whispered. Amy sat up slowly. That serum works better than I thought. I feel terrible. Lisa and Ben got up too. They were in a storage room near the bottom of the station. Perfect. How long do we have? Jake asked. Amy checked her watch. Maybe 30 minutes before the serum wears off completely. Then we better move fast, Ben said. Jake looked around the room. There was a ventilation grate near the ceiling and a service tunnel in the floor. Lisa, can you access the station's computer system from here? Lisa found a computer terminal and plugged in her equipment. I'm in. What do you need? A map of the lower levels and the location of the princess. Lisa's fingers flew over the keyboard. Got it. She's 5 levels down, in the maximum security section. But Jake, there are at least 50 guards between us and her. What about other routes? Amy asked. Service tunnels, Lisa said, but they're not designed for people. They're narrow and dangerous. How narrow? Ben asked. About 3 feet wide, and they're full of power cables and waste pipes. Jake thought for a moment. It's better than fighting 50 guards. Can you guide us through them? I think so, but if we get lost down there, we might never find our way out. We'll take that chance, Jake said. What about the princess? What's her condition? Lisa checked the medical sensors that were monitoring the princess's cell. Her face went pale. Jake, she's dying. They've been draining her life force for days. The readings show she might only have hours left. Jake felt anger burn in his chest. Then we better hurry. They opened the service tunnel and climbed down into darkness. The tunnels were even worse than Lisa had described. They were hot and wet and smelled terrible. Strange noises echoed from the pipes around them. They crawled through the narrow space for what felt like hours. Jake's knees were bleeding and his back hurt. Behind him, he could hear Amy breathing hard. How much further? Ben asked. 2 more levels, Lisa replied. She was using her computer to track their location. But we have a problem. There's a security checkpoint ahead. We can't go around it. Jake crawled forward until he could see the checkpoint. 2 Sectar guards sat at a small station, watching screens that showed all the tunnels. "Ideas?" he whispered. Amy checked her watch. "The serum is almost worn off. In 10 minutes, they'll be able to detect us again." Ben pulled out a small device from his pocket. "Smoke grenade. It'll blind them for a few minutes." "Do it," Jake said. Ben threw the grenade into the checkpoint area. Smoke filled the small space. The guards started coughing and shouting. The humans crawled quickly past the checkpoint while the guards couldn't see them. Jake heard one of the guards calling for help, but by then they were already gone. "Next level," Lisa said. They crawled down another tunnel. This one was even hotter than the others. Steam came from broken pipes, making it hard to see. "There," Lisa said finally. "The princess's cell is right above us." Jake looked up and saw a metal grate. Through it, he could see a small room with crystal walls. And sitting in the corner was the smallest Sectar prisoner he had ever seen. But she wasn't Sectar. She was made of crystal, just like her mother. Her body was dim and flickering. She looked like she was dying. "Princess Kieran," Jake whispered. The little girl looked up. Her crystal eyes were full of pain, but when she saw Jake, they filled with hope. "You came," she whispered in perfect English. "I knew humans would come. I could feel your courage from far away." Jake felt something he had never felt before. The princess's crystal body was sending out waves of energy. But instead of fear or pain, it was sending out hope and strength. "We're going to get you out of here," Jake said. But even as he said it, alarms started ringing again. This time, they were different alarms, security alarms. "They found our ship," Lisa said, checking her computer. "And they know we're not really dead. Every guard on the station is looking for us now." Jake looked at the princess. She was so weak she could barely sit up, but her eyes were still full of hope. "Can you walk?" he asked. "I think so," she said. "If you help me." Jake began working on the grate. It was locked from the outside, but Ben had tools that could cut through metal. "Hurry," Amy said. "I can hear guards coming." The grate came loose, and Jake dropped down into the cell. The princess was even smaller than he had thought. She looked about 12 years old, but her crystal body made her seem both young and ancient at the same time. "My name is Jake," he said. "We're here to take you home to your mother." Princess Kieran smiled. It was the first time she had smiled in days. "I knew you would come. Humans never leave anyone behind." Jake helped her stand up. She was weak, but she could walk. "How did you know we were coming?" "I felt it," she said. "Your species has a light that burns very bright. It's the light of courage and love. I could see it even from here." Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor outside the cell. Vextor's voice boomed through the walls. "Find them! Find the humans and the princess! I want them brought to me alive!" Jake looked up at the ventilation grate. "Can you?" The service tunnel shook as Sectar soldiers pounded on the walls around them. Jake crawled as fast as he could, helping Princess Kieran move through the narrow space. Behind them, he could hear metal being cut and torn as the enemy tried to break into the tunnels. "Lisa, where's the nearest exit?" Jake asked. 200 meters ahead," Lisa replied, her voice tight with fear. "But Jake, they're sealing the exits. I can see them on the station's security system." Amy was crawling beside the princess, checking her condition with a small medical scanner. "Her life force is getting weaker. Whatever they did to her, it's killing her slowly." Princess Kieran looked back at Amy with tired crystal eyes. I can feel it too. But I can also feel something else. Your friend Jake has a very strong life force. Stronger than most humans. What do you mean? Jake asked. Some humans shine brighter than others, the princess explained. You shine so bright it hurts to look at you directly. That's why I knew you would come. A loud crash echoed behind them. The sectar had broken through the wall and were entering the tunnel system. They're in the tunnels, Ben reported, and they're gaining on us. Jake thought fast. They couldn't outrun the sectar in these narrow tunnels, and they couldn't fight them in such a small space. They needed a different plan. Lisa, can you access the station's power systems from here? Maybe. Why? I want you to overload the power generators in this section. Create a distraction. Lisa plugged her computer into a power coupling in the tunnel wall. I can do it, but it might cause explosions. We could get caught in them. Better than getting caught by Vextor, Jake said. While Lisa worked, Jake helped. The princess moved faster through the tunnel. She was trying hard, but she was getting weaker every minute. I'm sorry I'm slowing you down, she whispered. Don't apologize, Jake said. We're not leaving without you. Why? She asked. You barely know me. I'm not even human. Why would you risk your lives for me? Jake thought about it for a moment. Because that's what humans do. When someone needs help, we help them. It doesn't matter who they are or where they come from. The princess smiled again. Your species is very strange, but very wonderful. Got it, Lisa announced. Power overload in 3, 2, 1. The entire station shook as explosions rocked the power grid. Lights went out and emergency systems kicked in. In the darkness, Jake heard sectar soldiers shouting, in confusion. That should keep them busy for a while, Lisa said. They kept crawling through the tunnels. The princess was getting heavier as her strength faded. Jake realized she might not survive much longer. Amy, can you do anything to help her? Amy examined the princess with her scanner. The problem is energy drain. They've been pulling her, life force out for days. I might be able to stabilize her, but I'd need to transfer energy from another source. What kind of energy source? A living being with a compatible life force. Someone willing to share their energy with her. Jake didn't hesitate. Use mine. Jake, no, Ben said. We don't know what that could do to you. I don't care, Jake replied. She's dying. If I can help her, I will. Princess Kieran grabbed Jake's hand with her weak crystal fingers. No, it's too dangerous. If the energy transfer goes wrong, it could kill you. And if we don't try, you'll definitely die, Jake said. I won't let that happen. Amy prepared her medical equipment. I'll need to create a direct connection between your life force and hers. It's going to hurt. Do it. Amy placed one device on Jake's chest and another on the princess's crystal body. Energy began flowing between them. Jake felt like lightning was running through his veins. It was the most painful thing he had ever experienced, but it was working. The princess's crystal body began to glow brighter. Her eyes cleared, and she sat up straighter. That's enough, Amy said, turning off the device. Any more, and it could kill you both. Jake felt weak and dizzy, but he was alive. And more importantly, so was the princess. Thank you, Princess Kieran said. I can feel your strength inside me now. It's like carrying a piece of the sun. Can you move better now? Jake asked. She nodded and began crawling faster through the tunnel. Yes. And I can do something else too. I can help us fight. What do you mean? Veltari can control crystal structures. This station has crystal components in its walls and computers. I might be able to help us escape. They reached the end of the tunnel system. Lisa checked her computer and cursed. All the exits are sealed. There's nowhere to go. What about the docking bay where our ship is? Ben asked. 50 guards between us and there. Plus, they've probably destroyed our ship by now. Jake felt despair starting to set in. They had come so far, only to be trapped at the last moment. But Princess Kiran put her small hand on the tunnel wall. The metal began to glow where she touched it. There are crystal circuits in this wall, she said. I can make them grow. Create a new exit. Can you do that without alerting the guards? Amy asked. I think so, but I'll need your help, Jake. The energy you gave me is powerful, but I need more to do something this big. Jake took her hand. Immediately, he felt energy flowing between them again. But this time, it didn't hurt. It felt warm and comforting. The wall began to change. Crystal veins spread through the metal, creating cracks and openings. Soon there was a hole big enough for them to crawl through. Where does this lead? Jake asked. The main corridor, Lisa said, checking her computer. 3 levels up from the docking bay. They crawled through the new hole and found themselves in a wide hallway. Emergency lights flashed red and alarms were still ringing from the power overload. This way, Lisa said, leading them toward a service elevator. But as they reached the elevator, they heard a familiar voice behind them. Going somewhere? They turned to see General Vextor standing at the other end of the hallway. He had 20 soldiers with him, all pointing weapons at the humans and the princess. I must admit I'm impressed, Vextor said as he walked toward them. You've caused more trouble than any prisoners I've ever had. But it ends here. Jake stepped in front of the princess. Let her go. Your fight is with us, not her. My fight is with anyone who opposes me, Vextor replied. And that little crystal girl is going to make me very powerful when I finish draining her. Over my dead body, Jake said. That can be arranged. Vextor raised his weapon, but Princess Kiran stepped out from behind Jake. No more, she said in a voice that rang like crystal bells. I will not let you hurt these humans who risked everything to save me. Light began to pour from her crystal body. The walls around them, which contained crystal circuits, began to glow in response. What are you doing? Vextor demanded. Something my mother taught me, the princess replied. Never let evil win while you have strength to fight. The crystal circuits in the walls suddenly exploded outward, creating a barrier of sharp crystal spikes between the humans and the sectar soldiers. Several soldiers were cut by the flying crystal. Run! The princess shouted. They ran toward the elevator as Vextor and his soldiers tried to get around the crystal barrier. The elevator doors opened just as the first sectar soldier broke through. Inside the elevator, Jake pressed the button for the docking bay level. How long will that barrier hold them? Not long, Princess Kiran said. She was breathing hard from the effort of creating it. And I can't do that again. I used too much energy. The elevator stopped, and the doors opened. They were 2 levels above the docking bay. Lisa checked her computer. Bad news. There are 30 guards between us and our ship has been damaged. I don't think it can fly. Then we get a different ship, Ben said. They ran down the corridor toward the docking bay. Behind them, they could hear Vextor shouting orders to his soldiers. Find them! Seal all exits! I want them alive! As they reached the docking bay, Jake saw their ship. It was still in one piece. but he could see scorch marks from energy weapons. Several sector guards were standing around it. There, Amy pointed to a smaller ship nearby. That one looks fast. Can you fly it? Jake asked Lisa. I can try. Sector. Controls are different from human ones, but the basic principles are the same. They were about to run for the ship when Princess Kieran grabbed Jake's arm. Wait, something's wrong. What do you mean? I can sense the sector emotions. They're not just angry. They're afraid, very afraid. Afraid of what? Before the princess could answer, explosions rocked the station. The lights went out completely, leaving only the red emergency lighting. What was that? Ben asked. Lisa checked her computer, but the station's systems were going offline. I don't know. Something big just happened. Through the docking bay windows, they could see ships approaching the station. But these weren't sector ships. They were crystalline vessels that sparkled like diamonds in space. Veltari ships, Princess Kieran whispered. My mother came for me. How did she find us? Jake asked. The princess smiled. I told you that you have a bright light inside you. When you shared your energy with me, it created a signal that my mother could follow across space. More explosions shook the station as the Veltari fleet attacked. But Jake knew they weren't safe yet. Vextor and his soldiers would be coming for them soon, and sure enough, the docking bay doors burst open. Vextor strode in with 50 soldiers behind him. Surrender now, he shouted, or I'll kill you all. Jake looked around. They were trapped in the docking bay with nowhere to run. The Veltari fleet was. General Vextor pointed his weapon at Princess Kieran. I don't want to hear any message from your mother. You're coming with me. The message is simple, the princess said, her voice growing stronger. She says goodbye. Suddenly, the docking bay's outer doors exploded inward. A beam of pure crystal light cut through the station's hull like it was made of paper. Veltari soldiers in crystal armor poured through the opening, their weapons glowing with the same light. The first sector soldiers who tried to fight them were cut down instantly. Veltari weapons didn't just kill, they turned everything they touched into harmless crystal dust. Mother, Princess Kieran called out. Through the smoke and light came Queen Zarath herself. She wore crystal armor that blazed like a star, and her eyes burned with the fury of a mother protecting her child. Kieran! The queen called back. My daughter! But Vextor stepped between them, grabbing the princess and holding a knife to her throat. Stay back, he shouted. Come any closer and I'll kill her. Queen Zarath stopped moving, but her light grew even brighter. Release my daughter, and I might let you live. Never. She's too valuable. The power I've gained from her suffering has made me stronger than ever. Jake could see that Vextor was telling the truth. The general's eyes glowed brighter red than before, and his body seemed larger and more muscular. He had been feeding on the princess's pain for days. You made one mistake, though, Jake said. What mistake, human? You hurt a child. And now you're threatening her in front of her mother. Jake smiled grimly. Do you have any idea how angry that makes humans? Humans are weak, Vextor snarled. You feel too much. It makes you stupid. Maybe, Jake said. But it also makes us do impossible things. Jake pulled the last plasma grenade from his belt, but instead of throwing it at Vextor, he activated it and held it tight in his hand. What are you doing? Amy shouted. If he kills the princess, I'll detonate this grenade, Jake said calmly. We'll all die together, including him. Vextor's red eyes went wide. You're bluffing. No one is that crazy. You don't know humans very well, Ben said, pulling out his own grenade. We're all that crazy when someone hurts a kid. Lisa and Amy pulled out their grenades too. All 4 humans stood ready to die rather than let Vextor escape with the princess. "This is insane," Vextor said. "You'll kill yourselves for one alien child?" "Yes," Jake said simply. "That's what humans do." For the first time since they had met him, Vextor looked afraid. He had spent his whole life feeding on fear and pain, but he had never met beings who were willing to die to protect others. Princess Kieran looked at Jake with wonder in her crystal eyes. "You really would die? For me?" "Of course," Jake said. "That's what friends do." The princess smiled. Then she did something no one expected. She grabbed Vextor's knife hand and squeezed. Crystal light poured from her fingers into the metal blade. The knife began to change, growing crystal veins that spread up into Vextor's hand. "What are you doing to me?" Vextor screamed. "I'm giving you back all the pain you gave me," the princess said. "But I'm turning it into something pure." The crystal spread up Vextor's arm and across his body. But instead of hurting him, it seemed to be healing him. The red glow in his eyes faded. The cruel lines on his face softened. What is this?" Vextor asked, his voice different now, confused but not angry. "Forgiveness," Princess Kieran said. "My people believe that even the darkest heart can be healed with enough light." The crystal covered Vextor completely for a moment. When it faded, he collapsed to the floor. He was still alive, but the evil energy that had powered him was gone. "Kieran!" Queen Zarath ran to her daughter and pulled her into a crystal embrace. "My precious child, I thought I had lost you forever." "Mom, I'm back!" the princess cried, tears of crystal light flowing down her face. "He saved me! Jake Miller and his friends saved me!" The queen looked at Jake with eyes full of gratitude. "You risked everything for my daughter. How can I ever repay you?" "You don't need to repay us," Jake said. "We were just doing what was right." But even as he spoke, Jake felt strange. The energy transfer with the princess had changed something inside him. He could feel his life force burning brighter, but also burning faster. Amy noticed him swaying and caught his arm. "Jake, you don't look good." "I'm fine," he said. But he wasn't. Sharing his energy with an alien princess had done something to his human biology, something that might be permanent. Queen Zarath saw what was happening. "The energy transfer, it's killing you slowly." "It was worth it," Jake said. "No," Princess Kieran said firmly. "You saved my life. Now I'm going to save yours." "Kieran, no," the queen said. "It's too dangerous." "I have to try, Mother. He shared his life with me. I can share mine with him." Before anyone could stop her, Princess Kieran took Jake's hand. Crystal light flowed between them again, but this time it was different. Instead of draining either of them, it created a balance. Jake felt the burning in his chest cool and settle. His strength returned. But now there was something new inside him, a connection to the princess that would last forever. "There," the princess said. "Now we're bonded. I will always be able to find you, no matter where you are in the galaxy." "What does that mean?" Jake asked. Queen Zarath smiled. "It means you are now an honorary member of the Veltari royal family. My daughter has chosen you as her guardian and friend. And it means," the princess added with a grin, "that whenever you're in trouble, I'll know about it, and I'll come help you. Just like you helped me." Ben shook his head in amazement. "Jake, do you realize what just happened?" You just became the first human to be adopted by an alien royal family? I didn't do it for rewards, Jake said. I know, Queen Zarath said. That's exactly why you deserve them. She gestured to her crystal soldiers, who began rounding up the remaining sectar. General Vextor will be taken to our healers. Perhaps they can finish what my daughter started and truly cure his evil. What about his soldiers? Lisa asked. They will be given a choice: reform and live in peace, or face justice for their crimes. Amy was checking her medical equipment. Your Majesty, what about the other prisoners on this station? There might be dozens of them. We will find them all, the Queen promised, and they will all be freed. This station will become a rescue center instead of a prison. As they prepared to leave the station, Princess Kieran walked over to Jake's team. I want to give you something, she said. A gift that will help you in the future. She touched each of their foreheads with her crystal finger. A small crystal mark appeared on their skin, glowing softly. What is this? Amy asked. A beacon, the princess explained. If you're ever in trouble anywhere in the galaxy, touch the crystal and think of me. I'll feel it, and I'll send help. That's an incredible gift, Ben said. It's the least I can do for the people who saved my life. Queen Zarath approached them. There is more. The Veltari Empire formally allies itself with humanity today. We have seen your courage, your compassion, and your willingness to sacrifice for others. These are qualities we respect and admire. What does that mean practically? Lisa asked. It means our technology is now available to help your colonies. Our ships will defend human space, and our healers will share their knowledge with your doctors. All because we rescued one little girl? Jake asked. Not just any little girl, the Queen corrected. My little girl. But more than that, you showed us what humans truly are, a species that values life above all else. Even alien life, as they boarded the Veltari rescue ship, Jake looked back at the sectar station. It was already being transformed. Crystal structures were growing over the dark metal, turning it into something beautiful. Jake, Princess Kieran said, walking up beside him. Can I ask you something? Of course. When you decided to save me, did you know it might kill you? Jake thought about it. Yes. And you did it anyway? Yes. Why? Jake looked down at the small crystal princess who had become his friend. Because some things are more important than being safe. Helping others is one of those things. Princess Kieran nodded seriously. I want to learn to be like that. Like humans. You already are, Jake said. You forgave Vextor when you could have destroyed him. That took more courage than anything. We did. The rescue ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying them away from the sectar station and toward the Veltari homeworld. In the observation deck, Jake sat with his team and their new alien friends. So what happens now? Amy asked. Now we go home, Jake said. And we tell everyone that humans aren't alone in the galaxy anymore. We have friends out here. Real friends, Princess Kieran added. The kind who would do anything for each other. Ben raised a cup of water in a toast. To friendship across the stars. To never leaving anyone behind, Lisa added. To doing what's right even when it's dangerous, Amy said. To humans, Queen Zarath said with a smile. The strangest and most wonderful species in the galaxy. To family, Jake said, looking at the crystal mark on his hand that connected him forever to the princess he had saved. Both the one you're born with and the one you choose. They drank their toast as the stars streamed past outside. Somewhere behind them, the galaxy was becoming a little bit safer because humans had shown that courage and compassion were stronger than fear and cruelty. And somewhere ahead of them, new adventures were waiting for the humans who had proven that no distance